Hey, welcome back to SpacedTime. Um, on the last video, we went and refactored and separated out our command line code and our website code by just creating a new branch and keeping the CLI in one branch and the website code on another branch. In this episode, I'm gonna go deep into the code now and actually refactor. So we're gonna do two things. One, we're actually gonna create a space-time library file where all the logic related to space-time and the setup of it exists there and not inside this main index file. The other thing that we're going to introduce is an actions file where all of our current Commander.js actions will actually live there. And the purpose of that is later on we're going to be testing our code, and we don't want to be testing expecting for a CLI interface to be active. So we're going to be exporting methods that our test can call, and it'll be like 99% the same thing. So jumping right in. Um, Let's start by creating our library file. And actually, I'm going to create a directory called lib. Inside the directory, I'll call it spacetime.js. Okay. And this will, oops, we're not doing this, module.export equals class space time. We'll have a constructor, and this will pretty much be our init command. So instead of init, not necessarily, actually. Create an init command, and let's bring in init. Format that. Alright, so now that we have init, let's move in our imports from the index to here. So first example of doing that is our fs. And fs. Don't need it there anymore. Bring that in. This space-time configuration probably also should be here. And that should be enough to do this, but I am seeing that load data is expected, so let's also move in load data. Okay. And then this we already have. Okay, what is next? Init program version, command add, create Q&A. So let's bring in create Q&A. That, and this requires data to exist, which I will instantiate as data equals array. And this is going to be this.data equals that. Over here will be this.data, and then we now also need save data. Next to each other. Save data. Okay. And we also need to add this into the commands. Okay. Next, no longer your data. Create Q&A we moved over. Get single question. SpacedTime. Okay. And now this requires moment, and this should actually be this. And this. Where is length used? It doesn't seem like it was ever used. Let me see if we can get rid of that. Okay, and then get single question. Okay, now we also need to bring this prompt in. I think prompt is actually a utility method, so I'm gonna put that somewhere else. Call this utils. And put that.
And now you want to go to sleep?
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, this video, there's going to just be a lot of moving things from one location to another. So it's going to be quite dry. Not that my other videos were not dry. But this one in particular will be extra dry. And let's move in moment. Okay. Q&A.streak. Q&A streak. Okay, got everything. Then let's see, we need to move Fibonacci.iterate can stay in the action. Ask again. Okay. What I'm thinking now is I need to move all this into the actions file. Where is my actions? I thought I created an actions. I guess I didn't. So let's create our actions file. And I'm going to create them like this. Oops. Function, recall. All right. This will require lib Okay. Interesting. Initialize. And the question is, am I going to initialize? Okay, so in this case, in SpacedTime, right now I'm exporting the class. Instead of doing that, I will actually be exporting the instantiated version of the class. This new SpacedTime. Okay? And this way we don't have to initialize over and over, and it'll become a singleton that's being used across the board. And once we have it, we can now say SpacedTime, get a single question. And actually, now that this is an instance, I'm gonna actually lowercase this. Okay. And here, everything's good. We also need to bring in the prompt with utils. And we also need to include in promptly. So, sorry, I undid my changes. And let's bring in promptly into our actions. Okay. So that'll work. We also need to bring in Fibonacci. Okay. Let's see, we got Fibonacci, we have moment. We have the Q&A already. Okay. It looks like it's good, other than I have to call SpacedTime save data. Cool. I think that action is now done. And we can now require actions equals actions. Oops. Okay. And here we have recall. So we can say actions.recall. Okay. And we will actually also require in SpacedTime here. SpacedTime. We no longer need this init method. We'll call SpacedTime.init here. And I'm seeing that this home dir and the OS should have been needed in the SpacedTime. Home dir. Okay, so let's bring in OS. And then home dir. Can be right here. Now that should be good. I believe we're not using that random method anymore. And now the other part we gotta move over is this action method for adding a question. But we can assume that it's gonna be called add. And in our actions, Okay. Then we'll export. Oops. Add and recall. I could have wrote this a different way. So instead of doing this, could have been export.recall. And same thing here. Export.add. The same thing. I can get rid of that. Let's code better. Okay, and then I believe this looks much cleaner now. We know like what this program does, and if we want to figure out what add is, we can follow that, and then it'll tell us what add does. Just create Q&A. At this time, this would have failed, so I'll call SpacedTime create Q&A. Okay, and all right, let's go for a test run. Yeah, index.js. This portion seems fine. Let's try a recall. What is my birthday? I don't remember. I don't remember. Oh no, moment is not defined. What do you mean? Okay, so in our actions, recall, try to access moment here. So now I think about it, a lot of this most likely should be inside our SpacedTime library. And I'm trying to think how I will break this up. Because there's like some code in here that like I don't like the fact that promptly is gonna be in there. And now I think about the test. I don't know how we're going to test with these promptly expectations now. That's going to be a little tricky. I'll have to do some research there. Alright, I mean, I think there's no problem with us having moment here as well. So let's do that to fix it. What is my birthday? I do not remember. Data is not defined now. Actions 38. Data. Interesting, because I'm getting this, getting the Q&A, I am mutating the Q&A, and I'm giving data. Okay. Oh boy. I mean, this can be very trivial. I can like, literally just do that, but that, I know this is not good. There's a lot of things here that's not good, but we will come back to this at a later point after I've thought about this more. But this should solve it for the time being. I'm gonna say no, I did not. Okay, let's recall again. When did I graduate? Never. Yeah, I still remember that. What's my dog's name? Penny. Okay, I did remember that. When did I come to the US? I don't remember. Okay. Cool. Let's also try adding a new question. What is Paul's birthday? Oh, answer is missing. It's 4884. Oh no. Data is not defined. SpacedTime create Q&A. Let's go in. Create Q&A. Data. Okay. Just data. Now let's edit. Let's recall. What is my birthday? I don't remember, man. When did I graduate? Never. What's my dog's name? Penny. Yeah. When did I come to the US? I don't remember. What is Qua's birthday? 4884. Yes. Cool. Okay. I think this concludes my refactoring of getting things out of our main index file and just providing a nice interface for how our Commander.js interface looks like. We have a starting point for our library class method or class file here, and then our actions, which I'm going to think about how I'm going to restructure this. But yeah, I think we're good. So, next time, I don't think I'm gonna come back and spend much time, refactoring anymore here. I think what I will spend time doing next is figuring out how I'm going to write some tests against these things. With probably, I thought it was, I'm not exactly sure yet, but I might have to make it so that I stub out promptly somehow, and it gives it's going to return the expected thing I want. But we'll go over that in the next video. I'll see you then. Bye bye.